Hello, this is Andy from Luvs to Travel. Today, I'm going to show you how to make some nice and simple wonton soup using some fully cooked mini wontons. Alright, so really the only ingredients you absolutely need that we're going to be using is some type of broth. I'm going to be using chicken bone broth, but you can use like chicken stock, chicken broth, any of that. And then we're using these fully cooked wontons, so all we have to do is heat it up. Otherwise, we have some extra stuff. I have some mushrooms, some shrimp that's already defrosting, some Chinese bok choy we're going to add at the end. Nice head of garlic. We'll probably use maybe half of it, maybe less. And then other spices. So soy sauce, sesame oil, some garlic salt, and some freshly ground black pepper. So first things first is we're going to prep our vegetables. So I'm just going to slice most of these mushrooms in half. And then maybe the bigger ones, I'll slice into quarters. But I don't think I have many bigger ones in these batches. So nice and easy. I already took the liberty of washing all of this just to make the prep time a little bit faster. So mushrooms are prepped. I'll put them back in the bowl for now as we prep the next thing. So next I will prep the shrimp. I'm just going to remove the tails, and you can just do this by hand after they're defrosted. Just pull them off, make sure there's none attached. It's better to pull it off than to cut it, because if you cut it, you're going to lose some of the meat on the tail. So you see this little red part at the end. If you cut it off, you would lose this entire section. So you get a little more meat if you just pull it off with your hands. It's also not terribly difficult. You just have to be careful to not leave any shell on for consumption. You can leave the tails on and cook it that way, but then whoever eats it will have to pull them off themselves as they eat it. So ideally, you do it this way. It's like this one's a little difficult. We got it done. We're using pre-cooked shrimp, not raw shrimp. This is pre-cooked frozen shrimp. It just makes it a bit easier to both clean and to cook with. Although raw shrimp would technically be better tasting, but we're not going for taste here. We're going for tasty, but also very easy. Raw shrimp is one of those things you'd go the extra mile with. Well, this isn't the kind of dinner for that. Okay, so next I'm going to cut these in half just to make them a little sizable. These are big shrimps. Let's make them just a little bit smaller for consumption. Cut them nice in half. And now our shrimp is prepped. Okay. So next up, we'll get our garlic ready. And I'm not exactly the best at peeling garlic, so bear with me. But gotta take out this little outer layer first. And we're gonna take out a bunch of chunks of this. We'll use about this much garlic. So I'll use about 6 cloves, maybe 7. You don't have to add garlic at all. This is an optional thing. Once again, the only required things for wonton soup are really the chicken broth and the wontons. Everything else is up to your discretion. And however much you want to add is up to you as well. So if you just want to add like a clove or 2 of garlic, you can. We love garlic. If you like garlic like we do, you can put it in the comments below. So I'm going to be using a garlic press for this. You just put the garlic cloves in here, and you push it through, and it will give you minced garlic. That easy. We actually had a garlic press that was not dishwasher safe, and one of us ran it through, and it peeled everywhere. So make sure yours is dishwasher safe or you wash it by hand. So this is about 7 cloves of minced garlic using the garlic press. And so the first thing we're going to add to the pot is this garlic. We're going to be using a hot plate for demonstration purposes, but you can also do this on your stove, obviously. So I'm going to turn this on to medium heat. And I'm going to add my chicken broth. I'm going to be using about 6 cups for this meal. After that, we'll add some of our spices. So I'm going to add just a splash of sesame oil. Just the smallest amount. About that much. The flavor of sesame oil goes a very long way. Next, I will add our soy sauce. And I don't have exact measurements because I just eyeball all of this. Since we already have garlic in here, we don't need that much garlic salt, but we do want a little bit just for a little extra flavor. About that much. And then freshly ground black pepper. And now we're going to stir this a little bit just to let these flavors get to know each other a little bit. Also going to turn up the heat a little bit at this point, just to get it going. So the next thing we're going to add to this is the wontons. And we can do this while this is still heating up, as these need to defrost a little bit anyways. We're going to be using a little less than half a bag of wontons. That should be good. And now we'll wait for this to simmer for a little bit. So now that this heated up a little bit, I'm going to add the mushrooms, because the mushrooms need a little bit of time to cook in here. And it'll give them a nice chance to absorb the flavors. So you might be wondering where I actually got this recipe, and I kind of just made it up. I felt like having wonton soup, and so I just started experimenting with different spices, and this is one of the simplest versions I could come up with. Obviously, you don't need like the mushrooms, the shrimp, the bok choy every time. You can just do your broth, your wontons, maybe add like salt and pepper if you really wanted to. The extra stuff does go a long way, but you do not need it if you just want a nice simple meal. All right, now that this is nice and heated up, it's almost ready. I'm going to add our shrimp, our pre-cooked shrimp. So it does not need to be in here for very long, it just needs to heat up a little bit. Mix that in. Now we'll start adding our bok choy. So this is the mini bok choy. You can use bigger bok choy if you want, but we prefer the mini size, just because it's a little easier to eat. Now once both the shrimp and the bok choy heat up a little bit, it's done. So this never actually has to go to a full boil. As long as it's a nice hot simmer, everything will be nice and cooked, because we're mostly using pre-cooked food in here. So as long as it's like serviceable to eat, then it'll be ready. So now this is done. So I will dish it out. Make sure you get a little bit of everything. So now let's give this a try. I'll get one nice big wonton. That is delicious. So you can make this at home very easily. You saw the entire process and you don't need to go those extra steps like we do, but if you want to, you can. And you can add other things that you want. You can add carrots if you want, other vegetables, maybe some other kind of wontons. So thank you for watching.